Talk to you for a minute?
Yep, just a minute. No, actually.
If you damage his property,
Sir, go look in the
you
notes.
are going to be arrested. So do not damage
I
anything.
never touched his
Is that
items.
clear?
Sir, it's clear.
Thank you.
Go have a good day. I never touched his items. Enjoy your bullying of a position.
Oh, that was fun. That's some fine police work. This time up in Hamilton, Ontario, yes, Canada, where these two police officers apparently have been called to this renter's door. I'm not sure if they were called to harass her, but that definitely happened. And you saw him lunge at the back in there to try and exert a little bit more of his perceived power over other individuals. Again, this over a landlord calling them to then go harass apparently their tenant over something that's completely unfounded. You'll see how she tried to explain, but he wanted no part of listening as it built up to that point. Let's watch.
So, I can talk to you through the door. It's not really a good moment for me to come out right now. So,
Okay.
I know that my neighbor has made some sort of complaint against me.
Mm-hmm.
If you look in the notes of your file, you'll see that there have been false complaints made by Mr. Savamir. In the past, he is a superintendent. He is someone who is trying to allow renovations to occur contrary to the zoning of this house in order to affect my eviction. What this is a superintendent harassing his tenant and making it construed to be the opposite. So,
Hey, listen to me. If you damage his property,
touched
listen to me.
Please don't speak to me.
If you damage his property,
None of his property has been
can I
damaged.
finish my sentence?
You don't need to speak with me.
If you damage his property, you are going to be arrested, and
have
that's
not
not going to
touched
help
anything
you.
of his.
That's not going to help you with
Excuse
your.
me, sir.
Can I finish
No,
my
you
sentence,
can't,
please?
because I haven't damaged
Okay,
anything
then I'll
or
just
touched
speak
anything
over
of
you,
his.
because clearly you're unreasonable and you don't listen.
No, I never touched his items. Enjoy your bullying of a position.
These are the type of folks that apparently apply for these types of positions, then go harass folks like this. And maybe they're feeling like cops can be called on tenants for whatever this was. I don't know if they actually ever got to the bottom of whatever it was that this landlord was asking for. But other landlords have taken to the streets. This is the odd part. Still up in Ontario, Canada. This is what's going on. Vice pointed this out. Landlords are people too. That's some of the chants that these landlords are doing as they protest their authority to evict people even faster. Here's some of the signs they were carrying around. One in particular that stood out depicts a landlord pulling a cart with this evil, as it said, tenant, evil, whipping him in the back, and they're saying landlords are people too. Odd. Here's a little bit more from that protest that they were carrying out. Landlords are people too. My property. Come on, bro. And again, I'm sure there's plenty of issues landlords have to go through, details of things they have to work through, monetary things that maybe they didn't see previous to that, destroyed places, bad tenants, all that stuff I'm assuming is definitely a problem for folks and probably something they could see coming into it when they start owning buildings and then renting them out to people. But one of those signs suggested that rents should be raised. This is more irony here. Rents should be raised to match the consumer price index. They want to be able to raise these rents at any point that they want. The main measure of inflation is the reason behind it. That's an odd suggestion because rents in Canada have far outpaced inflation for the past 2 years. So I guess they'll have to lower a little bit. I'm not sure what it is that they know what they're asking for. But there's other aspects of this too. You have these huge rental companies and you have what we call the mom and pop versions of it, where maybe someone owns 1 or 2 buildings or apartments to rent out to folks. And this has been some of their problems as they put it out. This is part of their protest. They're frustrated that they are forced to get a second job, they point out here is underlined in red, work extra hours, secure more loans, or rely on family members for financial assistance to support some of these tenants. They're also upset about sometimes how the government was giving unequal treatment to these small landlords after the 2020 and during 2020 during this memorandum on eviction bans. So of course these smaller ones, like, we still got to pay the bills, but then these folks who are living in our buildings don't necessarily have to. So they want some repercussions for that. And it sounds like their issue, Benny, is with the way these rules are with the government, and not necessarily with just tenants who are, I'm not sure how we don't see it, are going through the same issues when it comes to economic problems, and also, if not worse, being able to pay these types of bills when everybody's jobs are drying up around that time.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, let me. It's gonna take me a second to like put on a serious hat for a second. Okay, so if you'll bear with me for a little bit of socialism here for a second. First, I want to touch the issue of policing and why policing under capitalism is going to be an inherently evil institution at its fundamental core. Reason being, of course, we live in a society that is very much culturally ingrained in this idea that people in power are the good, correct people who have done the right thing, and that's why they have power, right? This false sense of meritocracy. You put police with arbitrary abuse of power in that situation where they're given a lot of leeway to do whatever they want. Like, just think about the simple fact that if your landlord is treating you poorly, you can't call the police on them, but police are called on tenants all the time. Think about that imbalance right there. That is very, very much clear evidence that the state under capitalism is organized very much in the interest of capitalists to the expense of workers. And like, fundamentally, as long as that is the dynamic that exists, policing will be an inherently exploitative, violent, abusive system that only serves to oppress people. And if you want to be the good cop that does a good job and you're the one exception, I hate to break it to you, but being in that position will rot your brain. Like, quite literally, it puts you in a culture that is designed to rot your brain and to view regular working class people as less than or evil or some sort of other. And like, fundamentally, that is just the core reality, because as an institution, it is evil. So it doesn't really matter what you do as an individual. Now on the front of landlords, like, I'm sorry, I have zero pity for landlords. Like, I'm so sorry, but the entire concept of landlording is inherently exploitative. It is a fundamentally like evil thing to do. First and foremost, you're literally producing nothing for society. So congratulations to you on that front. Secondarily, the entire premise of landlord is pay me or be homeless. There's no way around that. That's like the core element. So no matter what regulations you put in place to be like, oh, maybe it'd be good and this, that, or the other thing, as long as they're landlords, that will be an exploitative relationship by definition. Then on top of that, like, come on. You want to make it easier to evict people? These people are literally, unironically, in the middle of a homelessness crisis, both in the United States and Canada, are demanding the ability to make people more homeless when they were the ones. I mean, quite literally, what do you risk as a landlord? If you set up a little LLC for yourself, the worst case scenario is that you lose what you have invested. The worst case scenario for tenants is that they lose their entire ability to survive under shelter. Okay, so literally spare me. And it's just deeply, deeply embarrassing that we as a society are supposed to take these people seriously, because most of these people inherited a ridiculous amount of wealth. That's how they got to be landlords for the most part, right? And so it's just honestly sickening. Like, how evil of a person do you have to be to actively lobby to make people homeless? It's like, it's so disgusting that there's so many people who aren't landlords that are willing to defend these people, because why are you defending these people? Like, seriously, has capitalism rotted your brain that much? Does boot really taste that good? Like, are you kidding me?
It's always with the hope that you can be in the position to exploit people as well. And again, if you have the beef with these huge corporations that rent out buildings to folks, and then it's just this computerized generated version of just either keeping people in or kicking them out or giving that kind of fee or that one, if that's what you're trying to emulate, that is not like the thing that people love so much, or that they want to be attracted to becoming so much. But it is part of that American dream, because then as long as you have that, you can then control other things, like calling the police to these properties and be like, somebody's doing something to my things, and they'll be there, the drop of a hat. Just don't talk about anyone being harmed by gun violence.